Right, man, your position, man, your post. We are
Hold on
live.
tight. Hold on. Music, lights, sound.
Go
Studio
on.
silent, everyone. Sorry.
Right, lights, camera, and action. Good evening, all. Welcome to another live episode on Disqualified Dads. This is episode 89. Apologies for the delayed time. We are still in Ramadan. Not Ramadan Mubarak, but Assalamu alaikum to all my brothers who are fasting out there, celebrating or practicing or partaking in Ramadan. It's difficult. That's why the Ramadan times are a bit late. I had to rush back from mosque to get onto this stream. Now, we got here a bit early today. We had to fix Mr. Ryan's studio. We've got that fixed. That's up and running. And we're going to bring you episode 89. I am Coach Farouk, and I'm joined by my co-host, as you guys know, that family law guy, Mr. Ryan, Mckenziefriend. Also, he's got a new nickname. All the brothers, all the fathers out in family court refer to him as the White Knight. He is the White Knight. He is our White Knight in family court, supporting fathers, fighting evil, reuniting us with our children. That's it.
The White Knight. Oh my.
So yes, welcome, Mr. Ryan. What is going on?
Good evening, all. Good evening, all. And yes, I think this because we've got those of you who are celebrating, we've got Eid, haven't we, at the end of this week?
Yes, potentially Thursday, Friday, or Saturday,
something like that. Yeah.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, potentially one of those days.
Okay, well,
I follow.
Yeah, well, whichever, however that falls, I trust everybody has a lovely time. But anyway, so here we are. It is Sunday, the 15th of March. We are already halfway through March. That's a bit worrying. And we are heading towards April. We are.
Yes.
It was, I think, in a couple of weeks' time. It's not next weekend. I think it's the weekend after. The clocks go forward. They spring forward, and so we get lighter nights. Remember rightly? I think that's how it works. Remember rightly. And that's always quite encouraging for all of us, because suddenly we think that that life feels a little bit better when we've got a bit more daylight. It's been a bit miserable. January and February have been a little bit miserable on the weather department. But this week, certainly where I am, and I've been all over the country this last week, but I've seen a lot of sunshine, which is great. And I trust we're in for a long hot summer. That would be really nice. But we will see. Anyway, so here we are. In the potentially the last week of Ramadan, and also heading towards the end of the dark winter. So good times for all of us. And the family court continues to be, well, chaotic. It continues to be awkward. It continues to not deliver on its promise of providing the answers. And I continue to be knee deep in it, really.
Yes, you're on the front line, in the trenches, battling, slaying the demons, fighting the dragons, supporting the fathers. That's what you do, bro. That's where we need you. We need you there, bro. We need you on the front line, but not for too long. Soon, in the future, sometime, we need you to take a back seat to work on bigger things. So we'll have soldiers on the front line, fighting the fires, slaying the demons, fighting the dragons. We are going to be empowering people to help us on this mission to support fathers and some mothers up and down the country. Boom.
And we have got some very big things coming. Some very big things.
Yes.
Some
yes.
frightening things. Can't wait. And rather than keep saying to people every week as we do, "Oh, we've got big things coming," I will put a marker in the ground in the second week of April, and I'm going to call it the second week of April. In the second week of April, we are going to spend the entire stream telling people about what we've got coming.
Okay.
Because by then, it will be in production. All of it will be in production, so we can talk about it fairly openly.
Okay.
So yeah, the second week of April, we're going to talk about that. Myself and Farouk had a meeting earlier on this week. We met in, where did we meet? Reading, didn't we? That's right.
Reading,
yes,
yeah.
we met in Reading earlier in the week, and had a quick catch up, and I brought him up to speed on what we've got planned, what's in the pipeline, and it's pretty good stuff. So we will share it with you folks. Yeah, in whatever that is, about 3 weeks' time.
See, I just want to highlight something to people, right? Yeah, I always thought, honestly speaking, I don't know why. When someone mentioned Reading, I just had this idea of this really posh place in my head. I have no idea why, or a really upmarket type of place where everything's sparkly and nice. And mate, Reading's an absolute dive. I'm sorry. I am sorry. I'm coming from East London, and I was happy just to get back into East London. I mean, the parking charges, the one-way systems around the city, the general area, the look of the area. Look, I don't like to judge people, but looking at people around you, the way the people look, even I thought, bloody, it drags you. It's mate, Reading's a bad place, straight up. Sorry if you're from Reading, anyone here, but what a dive, honestly. My God, man.
It's a shame. I mean, Reading has suffered the way all town centres have suffered, because obviously, Reading at one point, you're absolutely right. 30 years ago, Reading was a lovely place, but Reading has suffered like all town centres have suffered. That obviously all the shops are closed, all the shops are boarded up. Any shops that are open seem to sell sandwiches or vaping equipment, and that's about it. And so it is quite depressing in the town centre now in Reading, where it used to be lovely. And it's depressing that you and I were in a coffee shop, albeit that obviously you were abstaining because we were in the middle of the day. But we're in a coffee shop, and next door to us is an empty shop with a very, very large doorway. And in that very large doorway, there are 6 tents, because that's what we've got, people living there and sleeping there. And I'm sorry, but it's 2026, folks. We should not have people in this country sleeping in doorways in 2026. That is an absolute disgrace.
Well, let me tell you something about the London city, Mr. Rice. See, I mean, I spend a lot of time in the city, as you know, yeah. And there's parts of the city, they have large, especially near, I think near Waterloo, but not far from Victoria Station, yeah. There's a large canopy all around where the shops and banks are all around there. Like there's a large canopy, there's an opera house and all sorts, yeah. There are masses of homeless people that sleep under there, just off the side streets off of there. There's a lot of homeless. And look, as much as I'm knocking people saying Reading's that dive, listen, I was homeless for a while. 95% or not 98% of homeless are men. A lot of them, unfortunately, I sometimes wonder how many of them have been through the family court system, how many have been stripped and thrown out, how many of them, due to non-moles and occupation orders, have ended up homeless. There's actually surprisingly many people there's a lot of people sleeping out of their vehicles that we're just not aware of. So, Reading's a dive, I know, but listen, we need to address the bigger issue of how they got there. So, I sympathize with these people ultimately. So, don't take it the wrong way, peeps.
No, absolutely not. It's not just Reading. Bless you. It's I think it's the town centre of every town. That's got the same issues, but the whole issue of homelessness, and I appreciate that's not what we're here to talk about, but we're going to now. The whole issue of homelessness is a disgrace. I've worked over the years with a lot of different homeless charities, doing bits and pieces where I can, and it continues to upset me. It continues to upset me that we have people living on the streets. It saddens me that the bulk of those people are men. It saddens me even more, as I did the other day, and I'm trying to think where I was. Where was I the other day? I was coming out of Nottingham, and I saw a family living on the streets. And I'm sorry, children should not be sleeping in a makeshift tent on the side of a very busy road in the middle of Nottingham in 2026. That isn't just horrendous. That situation should not be allowed to exist, and it's horrifying. It's horrifying that it does. But that's where we are. That's one of the many issues that we have in this country currently.
Well, sad to hear, but guys, don't worry. We do what we can. We do what we can. We do what we can. We create awareness where we can. I was actually going to interview a homeless guy once to say, tell me your journey. How did you get here? I was in the city. I was jogging past and I started chatting to him. I mean, he was in a state right here. And I said, look, next time I see you, I'm coming with a mic. I'll have my tripod and we'll just have a quick chat. I mean, going forward, as time progresses, once we go on to these ventures that we've been discussing, we'll have a lot more time. It may be that we might go and do road interviews just to see how many of these men were affected by family courts and divorce. So, I think it'll be good to do some field research. In the future, we'll be doing all sorts of stuff like that. We're going to be exposing every aspect of this, guys. We're going to be on the front line dealing with this, and we're going to dedicate time to creating awareness, dedicate time to these live streams, dedicate time to help and reach the people out there, reach the masses. So, we'll have hopefully a lot more time in the future where me and Mr. Ryan will be doing a lot more of this sort of thing ultimately. Right, on another note,
Indeed.
Mr. Ryan, right.
Yes.
So this week I've been doing the 10 Commandments of Family Court on YouTube. I don't know if you've seen them on all platforms. I've been putting it consistently. Yep. I've got up to law 4 or 5. Now I got to, I don't know which one it is, but whichever one the last one was that I've done. I didn't do one yesterday because I came back really late. I was tired. But I'm going to carry on tonight. I'm going to carry on from tomorrow night. Tomorrow night is going to be employ a vetted Mackenzie. So the last one was do not employ solicitors or barristers. To my shock, people have messaged me, DM me on Instagram, put comments on all cross platforms saying, well, what's your other option? What do you do? I'm actually shocked that people are still not aware of what their other options are. So tonight's stream, we're going to kick it off with, I am asking you a question, Mr. Ryan, on behalf of these people. If you do not employ solicitors and barristers, as I am advising, what is the alternative? What other options do these people have? So give us a little breakdown what they can do.
Okay, if you for whatever reason are choosing not to employ a solicitor and then ultimately work with a barrister, you've got 2 options, and you've only got 2 options. The first one is you go it alone. You do the whole thing by yourself. You're then referred to in court as a litigant in person, and you do the whole show on your own. Do I advise that? Absolutely not. Why? Because you will get hurt. Yes. You don't understand your way through the family court. You don't understand the process works. You don't understand how the procedures work. Now, let me tell you this. If you are a litigant in person in family court, does the family court look kindly on you and help you out because you're a litigant in person? No, they do not. They treat you no differently from if you had legal representation, and they expect you to know. And there's the problem. They expect you to know what it is you are doing and what it is happening next. When they're rambling in legalese and banging out, well, we're going to do a Section 7 and we're going to do a GAFCAS and we're going to do this and we're going to do that, they're expecting you to understand that. There's option 1. Option 2 is you can deploy the support of a Mckenziefriend. Now, what is a Mckenziefriend? Well, let me very briefly tell you that.
What is a Mackenzie?
Let me tell you the Mackenzie story very briefly. We're in 1970, so we're 50 years ago. There's a guy goes into court, and he's got with him an Australian guy. And the judge said, who's he? And the guy says, this is my friend. He's going to help me today. And the judge said, he's certainly not. If he's not a solicitor, he's not helping you. And he kicked him out of the court. Now, the chap whose name was Mr. Mackenzie went to the Court of Appeal. And he said to the Court of Appeal, I am absolutely entitled in common law to have somebody to support me and help me in court. I am entitled to that. The court agreed with him. And they said, so what are you doing? He said, so I've got this guy with me and he's going to help me. And they said, okay, so you've got Mckenziefriend. And that's where we came from, the title of Mckenziefriend. So what we now have is it is a legally recognized position where somebody can be a Mckenziefriend. And what they can do is they can help you, support you in family court. So they can sit alongside you. They can make notes for you. They can help you to ensure that all your papers are laid out in front of you. They can give you very quiet advice as to what is going on and what possibly you want to be considering. And outside of court, they can continue to support you by helping you with the preparation of statements, helping you with the preparation of documents, etc. Now, there are 2 types of Mckenziefriend, and I'm going to make this very simple. Good and bad. Let's not worry about the bad ones, because there's lots of them. Let's worry about the good ones. Good Mckenziefriends are in the game professionally, so they are doing this as their profession. I have been doing this with my team for 20 years. Well, probably 21 years this year. Anyway, but I've been doing this for 20 years. This is what I do. So I look after people, and currently we, as a practice, are looking after approaching about 150, 160 people. In family court. So this is what we do all day long, day in and day out, and my team do this. So we understand family court. That is a good Mckenziefriend. Now, we're going to charge fees for what we do. because this is our living. My team, this is what they do for a living. So there are fees associated with it, but those fees are significantly cheaper than solicitors. And those fees are based on our conversation that we have, where you have with your professional Mackenzie friend, where you decide what is appropriate in terms of how to fund this operation. So the Mackenzie friend is the bit in the middle between going it on your own and potentially ending up in serious trouble and spending potentially thousands or even tens of thousands of pounds on a solicitor. We're the bit in the middle. Just by virtue of the fact that I started this business 20 years ago with just me, and I now have, I want to say 10, it might be 11 actually. But anyway, I now have 10, maybe 11 Mackenzie friends working for me, and we are about to, between now and the end of the year, we're about to move that to closer to 20. That gives you some idea of how much Mackenzie friends are being used in the family court. Now, I need to tell you this. The family court is quite reluctant about Mackenzie friends. The family court doesn't really like Mackenzie friends. They accept them because they're entitled to be there, but they don't like them. And so you've got to work with a Mackenzie friend who can conduct him or herself in the family court in order to be accepted. My team have been in and out of the family courts all over the country for a very long time. So whilst there are people who don't like what I do, they respect what I do. That's a Mackenzie friend.
Okay, good stuff, guys. So listen, this is contact information on the screen now for if you want to get hold of Mr. Ryan, aka the White Knight in Family Court. info@mckenziepickup.com. If you need some advice, some support, some representation, like I said, it is the more viable option for most working people due to the affordability, number one. And number two, they're a lot more realistic in their approach rather than sell you something you don't need, which costs you thousands ultimately. So it's the best option between going it alone and getting professional help. It's the closest to having good, reasonable, professional help at a very affordable cost. Like I said, fraction of what a solicitor would cost. So that's that. Before we go any further, these questions are building up, and I've got some questions on my phone that have been sent in. So let's just work through some of these questions now and comments quickly. Right, Miss Noel. Well, Mr. Ryan, you were right. Sitting here in week 6, and there are still no directions from the court. Despite the case being marked as urgent, it was filed at West London, not Brentford. Frustrating.
No, I hate being. Sometimes I hate being right. Actually, Noel, I'll be perfectly honest. I don't like to be right about the fact that you've suffered a delay, and I predicted the fact you would. There's nothing pleasing about that. So I'm sorry, but you are dealing with. You're dealing with the family court first. Secondly, you're dealing with the London court, and they are challenging.
Pants, straight up. Yes, Victor, what's happening? Hi all. Also, this is a link. If you want to join the stream live, click this link. Keep your camera off. If you want to ask a question live, sometimes it's just quicker just to come on quickly and put your question directly. So click on the link if you want to come on live. Just leave your camera off. No mentioning of any names and cases, case numbers and stuff like that. Just come in, ask your question, camera off. Right, Mr. S, what are the chances of overturning Kafka's recommendations in the final hearing? I assume the judge almost follows the recommendations. Yes, I would say the judge normally does.
It is, yeah, normally the case that the reason the judge uses Kafkas is because they're the experts in terms of what should happen with children. And so there is almost a given that whatever Kafkas recommend is going to be pursued. Having said that, there are occasions where you can overturn Kafkas's recommendations. I am in a case at the moment. I can't obviously give you any more detail than that, but I am in a case at the moment where the judge has agreed with us, with me and my client, that the Kafkas recommendations are totally inappropriate. And so you can do, but you've got to have a very strong case to do that. Most of the time, Kafkas are king.
Key factor to that is you can try. There's no harm in trying. He can only say
absolutely.
No. Try. Right, Mr. S, do you see a lot of parents get access to the school once the fact find is over? Why are the schools always taken away from the other parent? Good question.
You do see parents once the fact find is over, regardless of what the findings are. You do see parents who are then given permission to be able to engage with the school, which is absolutely right. They should be able to know what their children are doing. The reason that courts sometimes take away that right is in order so as not to confuse the children, or not to alarm the children. I don't agree. I don't agree with it in the least. But often often the court, when they've had findings, whilst they try and work out what to do for the best, they will close a parent down completely until they understand what risk looks like and where they intend to take that risk. But in the interim, if nobody has specifically said to you, you cannot engage with the school, you have parental responsibility. You have the absolute legal right to contact the school and say, I would like to know what is happening with my children. I'd like copies of their school reports. I'd like copies of their attendance records. I'd like copies of any pastoral care reports that have been made. I would just like to know from a distance, how they're getting on. You're entitled to know that.
Yeah, in my experience, I must admit the school generally don't come across father friendly. I must admit, in general attitude, they do come across a bit like that.
It's often the case. It's often the case that they're being influenced by the parent they see. That's the problem. And that might be mum and that might be dad, but whichever parent that they're seeing every day, because they're dropping the children off or picking them up, then the school, unsurprisingly, will have a preference towards that parent. That's just human nature.
Yeah, but the key is, guys, keep trying, keep chipping away. Sometimes the thing is they want you to not front it out and just disappear into the background, but hold your ground. Phone up the schools, ask for the reports, ask for these things. Show presence. Do not just let them walk over you in that sense and just disappear. So just got to keep chipping away. It's difficult at times, but keep chipping away.
Just realised I was
Right.
incredibly dark because I didn't have any lights on. There you go.
Mr. D, I have a court order that states mother to initiate weekly video calls at an agreed time beforehand. She has decided she will call without notice. Should I get a solicitor to write her a letter or go back to mediation? What do you want a solicitor to write a letter for, man? That'll cost you some money.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's going to cost you money. If you've got if mediation is open still, then by all means use mediation. Going back to mediation just to discuss what is and I apologise for this phrasing, just to discuss what is a fairly trivial point, is not going to win you any friends. If mother has, and I assume we talk about mother, if mother has a solicitor already, then you email the solicitor
Directly.
just email them directly. You're entitled to do that. Email them directly and just say, look, the order says we're supposed to agree a time for the video call before it takes place, rather than just mother decide that's it, we're having it now. And the reason she does that, it's very simple, is to ensure that you're not there. She's going to do it at a time that you're not available. Sorry, go on, chap.
So the thing is, if he's got a court order in place, because if they're doing video calls at an agreed time, so I presume, he says he's got a court order. So in theory, again, goes back to collect the evidence, let it build up 2 or 3 times when she does this, collect the evidence, date, time, location, blah, 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 incident. And then he could technically apply for not an enforcement order, or a C2 or an enforcement order, just to go and highlight this in court. Worst case scenario is petty, let it build up to a few offences, and then take her to court ultimately for an enforcement, potentially. Would you reckon?
Yes, but if you know that you've got a court hearing coming up, even if it's a couple of months away, just build it, and get into the court hearing and say, look, just let you know, Judge, this is what contact has looked like. As I say, the court will not thank you for turning into court to talk about the time that you get your video call. They will not thank you for that.
Okay, so wait, ideally then, if you've got a court hearing coming up, you bring it up at the next hearing, ideally.
It's about proportion.
No, I agree. The problem is it's going to look petty. I agree with you. It's not right, but that's why I'm saying you got to let when you go back to court for an enforcement or was it a C2 for whatever it is for a change of whatnot. I think you got to go back with some substantial stuff which will give it some weight. You need to go
Yeah.
back to throw some heavy punches. There's no point going there to throw a few jabs. You got to go in with some knockout power, basically.
Yep. Yep.
Right, Mr. F. Anyone had any experience with name changes? My ex trying to get rid of my surname. I didn't agree to her suggestions, but she's put an application in for name change. Right, this is a good question.
Name change. The way name change works is if the parents can't agree anything about a name change, and the name change usually is that one parent either wants to add their surname in order to make it double-barreled, or one parent wants to remove a surname. The norm is if you can't agree it between you, you put an application into court. Court is very, very reluctant to take a name off a child without good reason. They will add a name, usually pretty willy-nilly. But they will not take a name. So if the child, let's just use an example, the child is called James Wilson and Wilson is dad's surname, we'll just use that as an example. And mum makes an application to court because her name is Brooks and she wants the children to be called James Brooks. The court will say, no, we're not doing that, but we will entertain James Wilson Brooks or Brooks Wilson in order that both parents are represented in the child's identity. Once a court rules that a name change can be made, that process is not over. You then need to still go through the deed poll process in order to change the name, and you have to use the court order as evidence that you have permission to do so.
Man, how sick wanted to change the name. Bloody hell. How low can you
People, I'm
sweep?
afraid.
All right, Mr. C. If you have PR, approach the school and engage. PR means parental responsibility. They have no reason to push you out. Be involved so they know you, so they know your face if you can. Email the head, explain any situations, and keep it child focused. Great advice. Yes, very good point from Kossip. And he follows up with, schools should send you reports, engage with you about any concerns, etc. And depending upon how mum engages with them, you might be surprised how willing to deal with you they are. There you go, guys. You got to keep trying. The key is this. What technically he's saying what I'm saying. Be
Yep.
present. Push
That's right.
past the awkwardness. Keep calling. Keep showing up. Say like, listen, I'm a parent. What's going on? Where's this? Where's that? Like, stand your ground.
No, you
So
should.
yeah, good.
And you're right in what you say that some schools are incredibly cooperative and they want to promote relationships between both parents and the children. So some schools are great to work with. Some will be awkward. It's the luck of the draw.
Yes. Right, we've got a technical question here from Mr. S. Is a 91/14 barring order a standard, or what are the reasons that can persuade a judge to do so? Must there have been litigation misconduct?
Okay, let's explain what a 9114 is first. So this technical name is a section 9114, and it's a part of the Children's Act, i.e. section 9114, which says that a judge can put in place an order that stops both parties from making future applications to the court for a given period of time, and often it'll be a couple of years. The reason they do that is if they believe that one parent or the other, or indeed both, are going to continue to litigate this matter just because they're trying to score points, or are going to continue to bring in vexatious or malicious applications to the court. The judge wants to stop that. So he puts in place a 9114 that stops you, that bars you from making an application to court. Now, let's just take a moment to look at the how effective is that. What it essentially means is it's not, whilst people believe that what it's doing is stopping them making an application, it's not. What it's doing is saying, if you want to make an application to court, you have to apply in the first instance to the judge who made the 9114. So you fill out your application in the normal way, but you send it with a covering note to the court and ask the covering note and the application to be read by the judge who directed the 9114. And you say, "Dear Judge, I wish to make this application because of reasons A, B, C, D, and E. I believe this is appropriate for you to lift the barring order and allow my application to proceed." And usually the judge will, because it's your civil right to apply to court. So there's got to be fairly good grounds to why it is that they will stop you. So that's a very brief description of what a 9114 barring order is. So the reasons that a judge is persuaded to use it is if they believe that one parent, and it's usually the one parent, albeit that it applies to both, if they believe that one parent is going to be dissatisfied with what happened in the proceedings, and consequently, as soon as they get an opportunity, as soon as they walk out the door, they're going to fill out another application and walk straight back in again. And that's not in the best interest of the children. So that's why they will put in place a 9114. So there doesn't necessarily have to be, just following on and completing this question, there doesn't necessarily have to be litigation misconduct. What there has to be is a pattern of conduct within litigation that the judge is a bit uncomfortable with. You are absolutely entitled to make applications within proceedings. So something's happening and you want to add a new conversation, a new subject to your proceedings, and you do that by filling out a C2 in child proceedings. It's called a C2 application, to add another element. You might want to talk about school, you might want to talk about a holiday, you might want to talk about changing names. There's lots of things you might want to talk about. So you add a C2. If a judge is sat at the final hearing and he's reviewing this case and he says, "I note that during the course of this case, one party has made 6 or 7 C2 applications during the course of proceedings," that party is perhaps being a little bit disproportionate. And so I need to make sure that the moment we close these doors, they don't just come back with another one. So I will put in place a 9114. So it's that kind of thought process that they go through. The worst I've seen, just to give you an example, the worst I've seen is a judge who, in the final hearing, this was a number of years ago, in the final hearing, the judge said, "I note the fact that between these two parents, they have lodged 32 C2 applications in the course of these proceedings." At the one point, we were getting an application every week. They have lodged between them 32 C2 applications. I do not believe that either of these parents is responsible enough to not come back to this court tomorrow with another application. And so he put in place, that particular judge, who was a very senior judge up north, he put in place a section 9114 for 10 years.
Bloody hell.
Because by that point, the youngest child would be 17.
My God, man, I tell you.
And his parting words were, you're not coming back. Full stop. You're not coming back. So that's a 9114.
Damn. Right. Mr. F, I contacted my daughter's school and asked for pictures and ended up with police knocking at my door, caused a whole lot of drama. All right, Mr. F, please give us some more context as to what the police said when they came to you. I'm curious.
Yes, I am curious as to whether maybe there's a non-molestation in place and they would see that as an indirect breach. So yeah, a bit more information, please, F, so we can answer that one.
Mr. S, I think how long the video is important too. What's he going on?
It absolutely is. Yeah, in video calls, it absolutely is. I mean, the parent who says, "Well, I let him have a video call every week, but guess what? I let them last less than 60 seconds." And I've got lots of examples of that. Because then when they go to court, they go, "Look, here's my phone, video call, video call, video call, video call." So they happened every week. It's just that I made them last 60 seconds. So yeah, the length of the call is absolutely important. And the other parent, the parent who is controlling the call, because they're sat with the children, you need to hope that they're going to be reasonable. A call of less than 5 or 10 minutes realistically is of little value whatsoever, because the children are children. They need time to settle into a call, finish larking about, finish whatever they're doing before they settle in and then want to have a chat. So yeah, the length of the call is very important. I've had clients who've had 60-second calls. I have one client, and he won't mind me telling this story. where he was instructed that he had to have calls that were a minimum of 10 minutes long. So what would happen was, and I'm saddened by this, and I'm still saddened by this, despite the fact it was a number of years ago. He would dial in on the day. It was always the same time. I think it was Thursday, 6 o'clock type thing. He would dial in. The call would be answered by the other party, which was the mother. The mother would answer the call. It was a video call. She would look into the camera so he could see she was there, and then she would take the phone. Here's mine. She would take the phone and lie it face down on the table or wherever it is that she had the call, and just leave it there for 10 minutes.
Wow.
And then just cut it off at exactly 10 minutes. Cut it off. So when we go to court, she can go, there's the video log. Call 10 minutes. Call 10 minutes. Call 10 minutes. Call 10 minutes. And what he's doing, what my client was doing during that 10 minutes, is talking to himself in the hope that at least once the children would engage.
Oh man, that is sad. That is just.
Well,
that's just cruel, man.
I'll make that worse. He did that unanswered for 2 years.
Oh my God.
Every week for 2 years, 10 minutes of talking to himself every week.
Yeah, but listen, surely, obviously, on his end, and it's being recorded as well, where it shows that the phone's just been sat flat and with no one there. Yeah. Could he not take that back to court? That's definitely an enforcement.
We went back to court every time we went back to court, we raised the issue of video calls. And every time the judge said, I'm not happy with this. This needs to change. Mother, you need to stop doing that. This needs to change. And it just never did. Because nothing the judge could do. The judge can't come round your house and say, let me see what the video call looks like. So he was just saying, yeah, it's horrible. Horrible.
All right. What happened after two? Did he eventually get contact? I need to know. Like, what happened?
No.
Oh, God. This is horrible.
Lost his children altogether.
All right. Let's not dwell on. Let's move on. I think it's best we just move on. Yeah. Move on, guys. Right, Mr. S. I was speaking more of going physically to the school.
Tread carefully.
Yeah, I think. Listen, I think you just got to gauge it and be careful. You don't want to come across as, because if you get into a back and forth with the teachers as well, it's not going to go down too well. So just gauge it. If you're a smooth operator like me, go there and be smooth, be cool. Yeah, just try your luck, but don't push it too much. If you're getting a lot of resistance, just take a step back here, because that the worst thing is, you know how it is, fathers at school gates, voices are raised, police are called, and father gets marched away. You don't want to, do that at school gates, because you're already paid that to be a monster. You go there, tempers are raised, and it's like, oh yeah, see, I told you he was like that. So just be a bit careful, yeah.
I'll give you just before we move on from that, I'll give you two very quick examples. Your court order says that you have supervised contact with the children. And you see them in a contact centre every other week or whatever it might be. But you decide to go to the school. What's the chances of you bumping into your children? You're going to go to school. They're going to be in class. You just want to go and hook yourself up and get some information and then leave. You bump into your child. You have now breached your indirect contact and you are in contempt of court. There's issue number one. Issue number two, you've got a non-molestation. The moment you step onto that school premises, you are within contact of those children, regardless of the fact that they are in a classroom, and you've breached.
Yes, I want to remind you, recently I spoke to a father I've known for many years now, for over 4 years. I met him from one of the groups. I put a picture out of him once on my, on my social media, where police dragged him, picked him up and left him on his front drive when he passed out at home due to an argument. They left him outside. For those Bengalis out there, he was wearing his lungi, yes, a little calm cloth they wear when they around their waist like that. In his lungi, right, he was left outside in the cold, right? I remember, right? It was horrible. But that father, last November, which is only a few months ago, he bumped into his child on Whitechapel High Street. Kid came running to him, he hugged him and this and that. Mother comes out of the shop, kicks up a stink. He was arrested a few days later and he spent a few weeks in prison. This is a middle-aged old man. If you saw him, you'd call him uncle. He's a Assalamu alaikum, as an uncle, as an elderly sort of guy. Man, he spent time in prison. This was just recently. And his non-mol's been going for a few years back and forth, but they just keep extending it. So guys, tread carefully. I mean, he's fighting it. He's not letting go, but listen, it's not nice. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. you have got to tread carefully. And again, while we're giving horror stories, I'll give one more before we move on.
I was going to roll now. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, a client again from a few years ago, because obviously I don't talk about current cases, but a client from a few years ago, Polish guy, lovely guy, not allowed to go near his wife, ex-wife, former wife, because he's got a non-molestation order in place. He's Polish. He goes to the Polish supermarket in the town where he lives. There's only one Polish supermarket in the town where he lives. So funny enough, everybody who's Polish goes there. He goes late on a Sunday afternoon because he thinks he's going to be safe. He walks into the supermarket. As he turns into the fruit and veg aisle, she is stood in the aisle. She screams like he's just stabbed her with a knife. The supermarket whip her into the back because she's screaming hysterically. She then tells them to phone the police. The police have phoned. He got arrested. He spent 6 days in custody in a police station, and he was put in front of a bunch of magistrates who said to him, "We're now going to convert your non-molestation into a 10-year restraining order."
Oh man, it's horrible. It's war on men. And if I remember correctly, he left the supermarket once he saw her. The police blocked the road further up. There was a roadblock. They dragged him out his car, put his head on the pavement, and he broke his teeth and all sorts.
They did indeed.
Give him a bloody mouth and all sorts. Yeah, I remember this guy.
Yeah. They did indeed. You know, you'd think he was an international terrorist. It was absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
Shocking. But guys, be careful. Lay low. Stay away. It takes a lot of restraint, a lot of control. You have to dig deep within your soul and find that strength to have patience. And sometimes staying away takes strength. It's a different type of strength, and you need that strength as well. Patience to stay away, stay cool, calm, and composed, and not dive in and not engage. Mr. W, salam. Yes, or salam, brother. Welcome. Kosip, right. You can go physically to the school, but what are you trying to achieve that cannot via email/phone? Good question. Schools won't just see you without an appointment, so be very wary about randomly turning up. Very good advice, Kosip. Well done. Thank you. Great advice. Make an appointment to set out your position by all means, but don't hang out at the school gate hoping to catch a teacher, etc. Box clever. Absolutely. Yeah. So basically, what Kosip is saying is, when you go out for a round, your corner's giving you some advice, you've got a little game plan, an idea, and a strategy. Don't just go out into that round thinking, I'll just swing wildly and see what happens. No. Don't waste a round. Don't throw shots away, and don't waste shots, and don't waste energy. Just play it smart. And he's right. What are you trying to achieve? What's the plan here? Again, see, one of the things we keep repeating here is before every action, your subtext should be, what is the end goal? What am I trying to achieve? What is the purpose of this? See, I've had it. See, when I was going through my non-mol, right? I say non-mol, I was going through that period of homelessness and just surviving and getting by. Someone said to me, "Oh, I think your kids are here. Well, why don't you just go by and see them? And why don't you wait in the car and have a little peek?" I said to him, "Okay, let's say I bump into them or they bump into me, blah, 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 blah. Now, I said, what then? What is the end goal? What? If I see him for 5 minutes, I don't know how I'm going to react. I don't know how they're going to react. What is the then next step from that? If this sets me back emotionally, mentally, psychologically by another 8-10 weeks because I'm wobbled, what is the end goal? Why? But people, and remember, when you're going through this shit, again, one of the rules I told you, do not, which one was it? I forgot which one it was. But the keys I said, people around you, friends, family will say all sorts of shit. They'll give you all sorts of advice, but they're not in the ring. They're not fighting. They ain't fighters. They don't know nothing about it. You have to be very careful of who you listen to. And those around you, your family, they're telling you from a position of emotion, not practicality, not logic, not the law. And you're the one in the hot seat. When you're the one doing the fighting, everyone can give you advice, but they don't know. They're not in the ring. That's why you got to be careful who you listen to. Remember that. Very important. Right, Mr. S. The other side is saying they're afraid, etc., and there is a NMO, etc. I presume he's referring to the police showing up. Right, hold on. Right, Mr. WHH, if you look up the comments, you see this here? No, sorry, not that.
Not that one.
Where's the link? Right, you see this link here in the chat. Go up or down the chat. Click on this link, and you'll come into the studio. Leave your camera off so no one can see you, no one can recognize you. Put a fake name or code name or whatever you want, and leave the camera on. Just make sure you've got good Wi-Fi and your audio will be on. You can come on live and you can have a chat, yeah? And don't mention any names. And like I said, this is very difficult to edit or take down after. So make sure when you come on, just stick to the point, stick to your question, stick to the facts, and don't mention anything that you don't need to be mentioning. But there's a link. Right, let's follow on. In the meantime, right, Mr. F. At Gossip, they said could be seen as harassment. Just told me not to bother because it's causing pressure on the school staff. Also feel uncomfortable. So there's a problem. When teachers start saying they feel uncomfortable, who do you think the police would side? I mean, look, the police would just show it up doing the job because someone made a complaint. Teachers say made a complaint. The problem is because teachers are there, loads of children, bloody, bloody, blah. Teachers complaining about being uncomfortable. They're looking after hundreds of kids, minors around. You will always be seen as a bad guy. Like then, they're gonna ultimately have to remove you from the situation. This is what I'm saying. Do what Gossip said. Email, call, arrange appointments. Play the game. Mr. S, see the teachers physically or talking to them via the phone or Teams is a complete different ballgame, my friend. Fair point. That's a fair point. Right, before that chat comes on, let me read out this question that I have. I've actually got a couple, but let's see if I can dig this question out.
While you do that,
Right.
I'm just going to comment on S because I thought
Yes.
if S is who I think it is, I thought he's on the other side of the world currently. Maybe he'll comment accordingly and tell me whether he is or not.
Right, you know what? This chap's question is too long to ask like this. Oh, there's another question. I've got another question on WhatsApp. Let's do that one. That question is a lot clearer. So, by the way, guys, did you see me on that podcast? I was on a podcast recently. It just went live the other day on YouTube. I was there highlighting it. It was called a Muslim divorce, something or other. Single Muslim divorce, something or other. I was on there representing, as always. Come on, where's his brother's number? Oh shit, I've lost his name. All right, bear with me. He's got a long question. I don't want to.
Bear with him. Talk among yourselves.
Right, got it.
Oh, you've got it.
I got it. Right, okay.
Go on.
If the mum is sharing publicly visible anti-dad content on social media, some generic, some specific to the father of the children, is it a good idea to raise this with courts/CAFCAS? If so, who is better and how to raise it? That's the first question. Can I answer that first?
Okay, we'll answer that. So first thing you need to do is capture screenshots so you can actually demonstrate, you can evidence the fact that this is going on. So capture screenshots because, I say, people have an annoying habit of putting stuff on social media and then as soon as they think somebody's seen it, they take it off again. So screenshots are important. Then what I suggest you do in the short term, if you have an ongoing relationship with CAFCAS, provide it to CAFCAS. And then if you have a hearing coming up, then submit it within the position statement of your hearing just to raise it as a concern.
All right, perfect. Next question. In my case, the mother is trying to portray a pattern of abuse using various arguments throughout the relationship. I'm fortunate that I have evidence proving my innocence in most of them and can possibly prove that mum is actively trying to mislead the court. However, there is one incident before the children were born that I'm struggling to get any evidence that supports my innocence. Will the judge order a fact find based on this single allegation? Could I get done in for this single incident because I don't have evidence?
It's highly, highly, highly unlikely. If it happened before the children were born, and if you can evidence away everything else, then it's highly unlikely that a judge is going to bother wasting a fact find just to deal with one issue, particularly, as I say, with the fact that it would happen before the children were born. Unless the evidence, yes, the allegation is the fact that you were a serial killer, in which case we've got a bit of an issue. But if it was something before the children were born, one episode, but you can demonstrate that everything else that's being said about you, you have evidence that contradicts it, very unlikely the judge is going to do anything about it.
Right, and his last question. Another thing, can you get Daniel to do a special on Section 7 reports? specifically talking about what to say versus what not to say, what to do to get maximum overnights for dads who have gone for a long time without overnight contact. S7 is usually a bottleneck for a lot of dads get stuck on, so might be worth a shout. Yes, we will look to do that in the future. Thank you for
We
that
can do that.
suggestion.
Yeah, we can do that.
Right, we got Mr. W waiting in the room. I'm going to bring him on now.
Yep.
Hello.
How you
Can
doing,
you
guys?
hear
Can
us?
you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you, brother. We hear you. Tell us your question or your thoughts or your situation.
Just a quick one. Like, I really want to say to everybody that I appreciate you guys coming on. Obviously, I had a court case for running for about 5 years, and whenever I came on to watch your podcast, it really did help me. Obviously, me and you had a chat.
Yes.
We did, and you gave me some good wisdom. But the main thing is that I want to say to everyone in the group that there was a time that I was really stressed out. It really got to me, and even in the end, the court was very biased. I'd done 2 DAP courses. There was no safeguarding issues. The respondent had over 60 breaches right in front of them. The CAFCAS Section 7, which I made them amend, was flawed. And I've launched an appeal as well. But what the main point I was going to say was that I don't want none of the men in the group to be stressed out, worried, because a lot of the weight that I was holding, and to have a system that is quite biased, let's be honest, is that if you put yourself in a good space where you're looking after your mental health, eating good food, and getting the right advice which you guys are giving, is just be good to yourself and know that you will get success in the end. Obviously, I always say I believe in God. He's the ultimate judge. But don't do yourself harm going through this, because it is a tough situation for men to get results. And a lot of the men are really getting bad results these days. That was the point I wanted to put forward. Absolutely. First.
Absolutely.
And I was going to say to you, when me and you spoke, I did say that I've got an appeal going on. But what advice do you give, even being in court after 5 years and the system was quite biased? What could I hold on to, like, moving forward? Because they've still kept me in a contact center, even though there's no safeguarding issues, until another 8-9 months with no overnight stays, and they put a 2-year barring order on me when it's not me that was breaching, it was the respondent. So what advice do you give on that?
Okay, do you want to go on first, Mr. Ryan? Give him the technical angle.
The court, and you are the victim in this case, because the court is not fair. The court is not a fair place to be, and anybody who believes that that they're going into the court because they're going to get fair and equitable justice really does need to think again. It sounds like, without knowing the details of your case, without sharing them online here on air, it sounds like that you've not been very fairly dealt with, and it sounds like the court is possibly guilty of what we call confirmation bias, which is they start by knowing what they believe is going on here, and then they're just looking for reasons to confirm what they already think they know. And it sounds like you're an example of that. If you're going into an appeal, obviously we don't know where you are in your appeal process.
In central London, yeah.
Yeah. But and where are you up to in the appeal process? Has your application been accepted?
I'm just waiting to hear back from them. Royal Courts of Justice, I believe. I did have one appeal previously, but they purposely told me to come on the day, go to another court, and then I went into the main hearing. It was a 2-day hearing, and they slashed it into like a few hours. It was just so ridiculous that honestly, guys, like, I say this openly, that, and I want to say this again, I trust my Lord, I trust God as the judge, and he has the outcome. But honestly, for a man to tick all the boxes, which was 2 DAP courses, being there for the children, and to still label me as someone that hadn't done anything, and they were so biased. So I'm just waiting for them to accept the appeal, hopefully. So that's where I'm at, and I'm just waiting for it. But I'm honest. Yep.
Well, fingers crossed they accept the appeal. I mean, I've talked many times about, obviously, the odds of appeal. The odds are terrible. They really are. But if your appeal has legs, if your appeal has some merit to it, then the court will hear it, and hopefully they will grant it. But it is a difficult environment. And from what you say, if you've been in a situation where where the other party has been guilty of multiple breaches of an order, and you don't appear to be getting any recognition or justice for that, and you are in a contact center and you are trapped in that contact center for a number of months yet, that's a difficult place to be. And you have my empathy for that, because that is a difficult place for you to be. Is the move, I'll just ask you this before we move on, but is the move out of a contact center, is that guaranteed, or is that based upon something happening?
Basically, I was in one contact center and it was horrendous. It was really biased, but I couldn't do nothing. I was trapped in it for like so many years because I should have been out. There was no issues, all fantastic reports. Because I was held there on a process of financial gain from that contact center. So guys, be careful which contact center you do go to. I did switch, and there was one judge in the court that was furious with the other party, saying you cannot keep him, you need to go to family member or third party. And the new contact center that I was in, they've even said there's no safeguarding issue, it needs to go to handovers. With that letter in my hand, the court still said you go back into contact center, and after July and then another 6 months, then it will go over to, but you need to come back into court. And it's just all over the place. It doesn't even make sense what they done. It was just like punish. We don't care what you've done. And I'll be honest with you, I'm lost. I've been lost for the last 30-40 days since I've come out of court. Like, I don't even understand how they're doing this to innocent men, or men that have changed and gone for the process, but still labeling you as a perpetrator, as they say.
Which contact center are you in now?
I'm in a new one now. It's in central London, and I'll share the details with you guys, like with a week later. But yeah, they're top, and even they were like, it's even they're fantastic, in central London. But I just find,
it's quite, and it's depressing when you're in a contact center and you've got contact center staff saying to you, "We don't understand why you're here."
Exactly.
There's no reason for you to be here.
Yeah.
And I see that time and time again, and we present those reports into court. I can think of a very specific example where a dad had every week going to the same contact center, every week getting glowing reports, not just about his engagement with his kids, but his engagement with every child in the contact center. The guy was doing group games and all manner of stuff. He was fantastic. And it was like the judge just couldn't care less. Couldn't care less. About this. And it was just like, well, he still needs to stay there. But why does he need to stay there? Why does he need to stay there? So I appreciate the difficulty.
Yeah, Mr. W. What I say is, obviously, look, wait for the appeal, and we'll pray. Hopefully, it goes through. Number one.
Yeah.
Number two, look, right. I've been watching this, doing some studying, right? Yeah, watching this episode on Prophet Jacob, Yaqub alayhi salam, peace be upon him, and Prophet Joseph, Yusuf alayhi salam.
Yes.
Because I kept hearing they were separated, and I never knew the full context of it. So I've been doing some reading, I've read it in the Quran, the translation. I've been watching this episode on it where they made some series on it, and they were separated, and they had to bear the pain of separation. These were prophets for 40 years almost.
Yeah.
And our prophet Jacob lost his eyesight through crying and his tears, and these were prophets. And I sat there and I thought, 30 to 40 years they had to bear the pain of separation. And then I'm thinking, I can't handle 4 years here. Like, what's going on? Now, the bottom line is this. I understand you're worn down. 4 or 5 years, 2 years in a contact center, like you said.
I've been 5 years in there, buddy.
Sorry, 5 years in a contact center. The system is oppressing you. Now, think about this again. The key factor, eyes on the prize, is regardless of the fact that it's not going the way you want and you're not progressing from there, the key is you've maintained the bond with your child. You've maintained a relationship. Understand that. That is the key factor. Yes, we're not progressing, but the biggest factor is you've not had to bear separation fully. You've maintained that relationship. Now, as bad as things are, it is only over if you give up, number one, if you allow this perceived loss in your mind to overtake you, it's not a loss. You still maintain the bond with the child. The key factor is you maintain the relationship. Number two, persistence is undefeated. Maybe your test is not over. You're a man of God. What makes you think your test is over? Maybe there's more to be tested. Maybe you will be tested in every ounce of patience that you have. But you're talking like you've given up a little. Do you see what I'm saying? You're lost and defeated. You need to snap out of this. Yes, it's taking this emotional toll. You've taken a heavy hit, like I said. You've gone down on a knee. You've made the count, though. You need to get back on your feet, and we get back in the fight. We persevere and we continue, because you're not got no contact. You're still in a contact center. It's not great. But the key factor is you maintain that bond and you just keep chipping away. As I said to you when we spoke, what happens is after a while, when you spend 5 years in the system, and I'm guilty of it myself, 4 years in the system, you sort of get comfortable. We're still in the trenches, bro. I'm still fighting the system. We are still lost in the system, But the problem is we've got a bit too comfortable in the trench where we're now looking for comfort. This was just a wake-up call now. You're still in the fight. There is no end to this. For our children, you're like, listen, let me put it this way. When it comes to this, the attitude you need is this, You remember Terminator 2 when it came out, where it's the machine, it will just keep going and going and going. And the guy that's with Sarah Connor, what's his name? Reese. Now, he's human. He ain't a machine. But the human spirit where he just keeps going till his last breath. Are you willing to do that for your child?
100%.
Yeah, that's it then. Get back and man your post. It's simple as. Yes, you've taken a hit. You need to reset. And I told you, you need to let go of the burden. You just show up on the day, do what you need to do. You're carrying too much emotional baggage. Again, you're going with no expectation and you just soldier on, man your post. Treat it like a circus. Expect nothing. If this is what you got now to maintain the bond with the child, eyes on the prize, carry on maintaining that bond until you see an opening, until we see an opportunity, until we get a break. You with me?
Yeah, I'll get
That's
that.
what you got to do.
Okay. I appreciate
that. Listen, give me a ring sometime this week. Let's have a catch up. Give me a touch base. Drop me a message. We'll catch up.
Okay. What I will do, thank you so much. Just one bit I would say to the boys and you guys. Throughout, no matter what exactly what you said, I'll still be a soldier. I'll keep marching forward. The victory is always in God's hand, and it will turn. I haven't lost faith, just a bit disappointed, but I will keep marching on. And I really appreciate all the men that are on this podcast. Stay strong. Don't get frustrated. Don't be upset. Don't burn any mental space for no reason. Strategy over emotion, and keep firing the principles or keys that will unlock the injustice that we're all going through. And that's all I've got to say. Thank you, guys.
Great message. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you.
There you go, guys. Great message. Listen, like I said, guys, there's going to be highs and lows on this journey. When you're in these lows, you need your spiritual gas tank full to hold on to hope and belief, to know that you can overcome this beast, this monster. Anything can change. Luck can turn your way. Whatever your belief system is, this is a time when you're going through this much pain and trauma to connect with your more spiritual side. Highs and lows, guys. Highs and lows. And the spiritual area is another area of growth. Simple. All right. What's the next question? See the teachers fit. Did we answer this? No, we did. Okay. Oh, he says, sorry, I didn't hear that. Oh, bloody hell.
That's because I was asking whether S was whether S was who I thought it was, and if so, are they on the other side of the world? That's what I was asking. Okay. I think if it's who I think it is, then they are.
Right, Mr. Cosset, off topic and some time ago, Farouk, when you met Pearl, how did you find her? Genuine or a fraud? Hotter in real life? The thing is, right, when I met Pearl, you guys got to understand I was a very raw. I look back at that video myself now and I see myself and I think, my God, is that how I looked? Is that how I spoke? Is that how I communicated? Like, just ramble on and talk over and didn't let it finish and just jumped in and out. But listen, I somehow made it on there, So it's hard for me to gauge how she was, but I thought she was genuine. She kept asking the same questions so that we could go into detail so she could understand it. I thought she was for me, I thought, listen, she gave me a platform to, a big platform ultimately to highlight the plight of fathers. Secondly, so I can't knock it. I can never say a bad word really in that sense. I thought she was genuine. Towards the end, she was sort of like almost like when the podcast finished, I was exhausted. Right? Yeah. But anyone who's ever been on these podcasts where they've had to go back and talk about these things, and you're not a good speaker, you're trying to hold it all together, the cameras, everything. 2 hours into it was a 2 hour podcast, and at the end of it, I was exhausted as I got off, and she looked like she was sort of just sort of cleaning her eyes. Like I think she took a toll on her as well, whatnot a little bit. But I thought she was genuine. Secondly, she's well over 6 foot. She's got long legs. Sitting very close. Like I said, it was all a bit awkward at times. I thought I don't want to think I'm like looking at her legs here. It was all a bit awkward, right? Yes, I had to remain professional. But yeah, I thought she was all right ultimately. But I see myself on those videos, those early days, man. It's horrible. It's bad. It's bad. Still got work to do, but my God, talk about cringe. Mr. F, it's long, man. Yeah, I know, bro. The whole journey's long. But this is it. We're at war. We're in the trenches. We're in the ring. Remember, one of the principles, one of the commandments of family court, it is a marathon, not a sprint. And this is what happens. You see the brother that just called up here, the brother that just rang here. You know, when you get to a certain point in a marathon, yeah, they say what happens is you hit the wall. Sometimes, and they say it's a psychological barrier where every atom of you is fighting against you to try and stop you and slow you down. That is exactly what you'll face emotionally at some point in your family court journey. If you've invested too much emotion, you've been fighting on emotional fuel, guess what? That emotional gas tank will start depleting and you're going to hit that wall. You're going to have these doubts, disappointments. Your mind will play games with you. That's what it is, guys. But it's all in your mind. You just have to keep going one step at a time. If you're in a fight, you're in the ring. It's the 8th, 9th, 10th round. This is where they say, this is what can't be measured until you're in that moment. You don't even know what you're capable of until you're in that moment. Is your heart. How much heart do you have? How much guts do you have? Can you dig deep into your core and grin and bear it, bite down on your gum shield and keep moving forward while you're taking punishment, while you're taking pain? Listen, man, let's never forget this journey is no walk in the park. There's no, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not smooth sailing. This is not a cruise ship, man. You're going to go through choppy waters. It's going to take every atom of you to persevere, survive, and keep going. So remember your children. Why are you doing it? Rule number 2, eyes on the prize. You keep that as your North Star and your focus. Never forget this. Mr. Ryan, do you have anything else? I think we're done with most questions and whatnot. Do you have anything else you would like to add? And I want to put your email up in the screen in the meantime.
Yes, you do that. I'm going to round off with this because I should have mentioned this right at the head of the game, and it slipped my mind. Today is Mother's Day.
Oh shit!
Yeah, so today is Mothering Sunday, and so we will put a shout out. I know we spend a lot of time talking about dads and to dads, but let's put a shout out to every mother, every grandmother, every great grandmother, every auntie, every sister. Because the job they do is incredible. Because as I say, the role of a mother is a tough role, and we entirely appreciate what it is that they do. And you're right. I accept the fact that some mothers don't play fair and don't play appropriately, and mess up fathers as a result. But let's just take a moment of credence and say we're sending out our love and affection to mothers, grandmothers, aunts, because we appreciate you.
Yes, I just want to give a special shout out, like I said, to all the good mothers out there. There are plenty of good ones, and also the single mothers out there who are doing a great job. And you ain't got to do it alone. Yeah, all the single mothers out there, it is Mother's Day. You ain't got to be alone. Drop me a DM. I've got no issues. I just want to say, right, a lot of people have this stigma around single. I have no issue with single mothers. I like single mothers. I think you're doing a great job, ladies. Hook me up. Drop me a DM.
Oh no!
Disqualified.dads@gmail.com. Drop me an email. Let's chat. Let's hook up. Let's see if I can help you.
Congratulations, well done.
All right, we got one final question from Mr.
One final
R.
question. Here we go. Closing out with this.
What is the prize? The prize is your children. The prize is your focus of what you're doing, why you're doing it. Everything you do is eyes on the prize. What am I doing? Why am I doing it? Why am I here? Not to get at the Bex, not to get back at the ex, not to act out of anger, frustration, emotion, not to upset the in-laws, not to play the victim. The key focus is you're doing everything you do to get closer to your children, to maintain that bond and relationship, which are your children. They're the prize. If there's children, what happens when those children become adults? Well, if you've maintained the bond, if you've been successful and you've maintained the bond with those children, when they become adults, it will be a lot easier because you've just carried them through to those teenage years of 16, 17, to be fair, 14, 15, 16. If you can maintain the bond till that age where they're independent, they're their own people, they're their own person, then it'll be much easier. But you have to go through these turbulent times. And in these moments of anger and frustration, you have to look at the prize to keep you motivated and going and keep you on the right track and the right path. That's the key. And then the other thing is this. Okay, you could say, but what if you don't get any contact until they become adults? The key factor is this. You've given it everything. You've presented your best self. You've left no stone unturned. You have thrown the kitchen sink at it. You've left everything in the ring. And this was your test on earth. And the bottom line is when you walk away, whatever happens, you know you gave it everything. And there's such a thing as I believe, when you've done all the right thing, you've done all the right things, you've given it everything. And like I said, you followed all the advice and took all the right steps. You can walk away knowing you did your best. You don't want to walk away knowing one day I could have done more. I could have tried harder. I could have done this. I could have done that. You've done everything you could. You've done your best. You've got your evidence. And when they become adults, come see you. There you go. I've done everything I could, kids. I'm on, And in the meantime, like I said, Mr. Raja, when you get to that stage where you walk away knowing everything you did, like I said, you find joy in your life. Do things for yourself. Self-love. Stop building yourself up. Before your children, you were someone, you had aspirations, you had dreams, you had hobbies and interests. You need to find out who you are again. And start nurturing your own inner child, inner teenager, your own inner young man to say, what did he want? He had aspirations, dreams, and hopes. You were still someone before these children. You can still be someone after these children. You might be someone bigger, greater, and better due to this. But you have to take this pain and channel it the right way. You cannot dwell on it. Find joy in your life again. But until that stage, like I said, eyes on the prize. Focus on the task at hand, what you need to do. Don't worry about what's happening tomorrow or when they're teenagers or adults. Do what you can now. You focus on the here and now and the today and your current situation, circumstances, and your case. That's what you do. Right, guys. I will say no more. It's been 1 hour, 12 minutes. Thank you all for joining. I appreciate each and every one of you. We're in the final week of Ramadan. Pray, make dua, ask God for guidance, endurance, perseverance. Pray for our children. I pray for all of you. I pray for Mr. Ryan, the White Knight. I pray for every father and those few mothers who are separated from their kids. Inshallah, we'll all be reunited. I pray that God give all of you strength and endurance to persevere and continue and give you resilience where you can ride these highs and lows. This was episode 89. We will see you next Sunday. Thank you for joining. Like, subscribe, follow, and share.
Have a good week, folks.